Who is starting the lobbies and administering this, hosting the maps? Got it. Sushi's getting taken care of, explaining the map details.
Looks like him and Lanfear will be adminning it, so.
Okay, so we just stand by until they... Perfect. Let me know when we're live, and I'll let you cue me in, do the intro. What? Well, I guess that settles that then.
And welcome back. I'm Xenodactyl, your host. This is the Alpha X Pro series. And with me today is...
Hi there, I'm iRush People. I'm a Masters 1 Protoss. Glad to be here to cast the games with you today.
And we have Bomber versus Firefly.
A legend versus an up-and-comer. This is the Bomber, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, that was the impression I got.
Wow. What an honor.
Yeah. It looks like Kairos will be the first map. And
right, we've just...
Go ahead.
Right, we've just gotten done with the map veto process. We're just beginning it on Kairos Junction, and from that forward, it will be loser picks for the next map. And we won't be repeating any maps until we've gone through the entire ladder map pool. The other ones will only be repeated if we really need that to extend the series.
Excellent. And
do you know Firefly? Are you aware of him, or is he on your radar at all?
I'm not terribly familiar. No.
Okay. I'm not either, but if he's up against Bomber, then he must be someone, yeah?
Yeah, that's what I would think.
I mean, we might have a little bit of a David and Goliath story here. I guess if you like the underdog story, then Firefly is your preference.
Oh yeah, well, Aligulac definitely is going to favor Bomber, and I mean, when you understand how Aligulac works, it's like, well, why wouldn't you?
Right, if you're just going off like tournament appearances and placements and that information that feeds Aligulac, then Bomber is definitely giving it more.
Precisely. So I'm not sure how much we can speak to Firefly, but we can talk a little bit about PvT.
We can.
And you said you played what again?
I'm a Protoss player.
Okay, so same.
Perfect. Yeah, so PvT recently got shaken up with the 14-second faster warp gate research and the cheaper blink and robotics facility. And so we're still kind of in the Wild West. That kind of happens after the meta's shaken up by a patch. And so I'm curious to see what Firefly has to, in the back pocket here, what he's been experimenting with, what's working for him, what he's bringing to the show match.
Right.
As we load in,
there's definitely
apologies. Good.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of like new variations on like builds we previously had, where they're just like trying to cut timings down and like, oh well, I guess I'll just do it this way instead. Another thing is that there was the 3 seconds on the adept, so building placements has been shifting a little bit too.
Oh, you've seen building placements adjust. Can you speak to that?
Like, I've been seeing more low ground gateways as like to kind of offset the adept coming out later. So it's like the idea is the adept is closer, which I'm not entirely sure why or how that should all play out. But let's introduce the players and I'll talk more on that.
Absolutely. Spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, playing on a barcode. It's a red Protoss player. It's the Chinese legend. He is Firefly. And spawning in the top left corner, mostly known for his Terran play in the 2014 games against Scarlet, a man of many talents, a man of many, many achievements. It is the Terran player, Bomber. All right. We have a proxy pylon going down already.
Yeah.
What's your guess?
Stargate is the only thing that I can imagine at... Well, no, it can't be. It should be Gateway if it's this early. But...
Absolutely.
But, the positioning says Stargate, so maybe he'll proxy a Stargate there later. you can still do that with that position, or with a gateway, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Like maybe it's a 2-tiered proxy where he'll use that pylon later for a Stargate once the Cybernetic Core finishes. Okay, I can see that.
But like timing-wise, it had to be the gateway. It was just like the position tells me Stargate, so that's very curious. Maybe he just wanted to put it there because it was a default proxy location for him.
Right, and interestingly, Bomber has skipped the Reaper, which is still the standard in TVP as far as I can tell, and gone straight into this reactor. So he'll have a bigger army, but he won't have as much information as he would have if he started a Reaper. Scouting SCV sees the first Zealot moving across the map. He sees no Nexus, so he knows something's up, right? If you're a player of Bomber's talents, you have the game sense to know that these are tells, right? You can work with these.
SCVs are under attack.
I think that with Marines being reactored out already and a bunker going down, that it'll be very hard for Firefly to get any damage done here. I'll be really impressed if he's able to...
he may not get that bunker up.
Maybe. It's so fast. Yeah, this bunker has seconds left. SCV is continuing to construct it. Bunker's down, so that gives him an anchor. That means that he doesn't have to cancel this command center. He doesn't have to take this one base defensive posture. He can hold at the bottom of this.
Yeah.
Oh wow, might lose a stalker here. Pokes forward. He was trying to get the cancel on, or not a cancel, but I'll hold that there. We have a pause coming through, a little bit of lag here. So let's just talk about these opening builds. Let's just kind of see how they're feeling out this matchup here. What are your thoughts so far?
It looks like he's decided to expand off the back of this. I imagine he's going to want some kind of tech to enter the field shortly thereafter, and it can develop into a macro game, but he's going to want to maintain a contain as much as he can, just because his tech is going to be pretty delayed and his economy is going to be pretty delayed. So he's looking for more than what he's gotten. Like a small delay on the bunker and not really a whole lot more in terms of hiccuping the Terran is not what this opening is designed for.
Right, like if he was able to, I think that this works if you can kill the SCV constructing the command center.
Right.
But Bomber had such a technical hold. He had so much just positioning and posturing there with the SCVs pulled and the Marines posturing forward that the damage wasn't there despite the proxy. We had 3-2-1, 3-2. Can they not unpause it? I'm not a referee. I can't unpause it.
Game resumed.
Okay, perfect. So losing that stalker there, part of this build seems to be the map control that these stalkers give, right? The Terran can't move out to punish or use the army that he has from his hold to go and put the pressure back onto the Protoss. As long as these stalkers are at the front of his ramp, right? They'll just kite the Marines the whole way back. But it looks like they've headed back, and so Bomber's claimed his high ground.
Yeah, a cyclone is underway. It's gonna come out soon, so that he might be worried about something pushing him back and decides to move out or return home before he can lose his stalkers. I don't know though. This feels very flimsy. Like he only has 2 stalkers and he has a Phoenix coming, which will allow, like, he can lift the cyclone with that once it's out, but
oh, this could get icy. This could be really dangerous for Firefly here. Cyclone's locked on. He's chasing around the corner. Maintains the lock on. If he gets it on this second stalker, he'll have cleaned up the entire aggressive force from Firefly. Nope. Firefly's able to break the vision there, jukes around the rocks. Cyclone's chasing it down, gets a second lock on, cleans it up.
Firefly's in a world of trouble now. This force coming out of the Terran is only met by a Phoenix and a Sentry, and
Right, and even though this is a small army from the Terran, the Protoss' army is even smaller. The shield battery is still constructing, and so we're going to have to see... He's trying to buy time for the second Phoenix here, get another warp in done, but in that meantime, Bomber cancels the shield battery, and he's going to take out this pylon as well.
Bomber seems content with this. I feel like he could have gotten a little bit more, but respecting the warp-in potential of Firefly, wants to minimize his losses, I guess. The Phoenixes are out, and they're gonna catch this Cyclone. The rest of the Marines should get home. Okay, one more will go down. There is a trail of mines here, and actually there's a lot of push potential suddenly with the Protoss force.
If Firefly can hallucinate something here with the sentry, he can trigger the second Widow Mine. I don't know if he was able to see the little indentation in the ground there. Losing a Phoenix hurts. He wants to hit this kind of 4 to 5 critical massive Phoenixes to control the skies, kill this Raven, pick up the siege tanks, right?
Right,
but
all those good
losing
things.
Right, but losing that first Phoenix here kind of takes the wind out of his sails as far as moving back across the map in that kind of push-pull that we've seen so far. Interestingly, we do see 4 more warp gates in production instead of a third. We're around the 6-minute mark where you would start to see the latest expansions that a Protoss who wants to expand would take. And so this is cueing me that Firefly is going to try to hit a timing here. Maybe a charge timing once his Twilight finishes. What do you think? What's his plan?
Charge is very common just in this matchup in general. It's like you kind of either get air control or you get blink stalkers, and then you follow it up with charge. There are other builds, of course, but like those seem to be your most common. And you're right, we are going to see that charge, and okay, it was just a hallucination.
Of course. So we're also seeing Firefly stick on only 2 gases here. He doesn't have upgrades going. Bomber does. Bomber has a third going. I'm seeing everything for Firefly lining up towards a timing attack to say, we're going to end this game, we're going to get this done. It looks like he's going to be pulling the trigger pretty soon here. Whereas Bomber is saying, let's go to late game. Let's try it, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, Bomber shot his own turret there. Trying to position his Marine Marauder into the mineral line there to deal with this Phoenix harass. This proxy gateway was never cleaned up though, so he has a forward warp in location without having to invest in a warp prism. And he's coming down the angle. Command center is lifted here. Bomber realizes that he's in a compromised position. He falls back to this high ground where he has a bunker, he has a turret, he has a sieged up tank. Widow Mine's in position. I don't think Firefly should try to break this.
No, there's no reason why he should go any farther, and he is respecting that ramp. He puts a revelation down, sees the threat of the factory units, and sharks away with his Phoenix, picking off what he can in the main, and gonna rush back at... Oh, wait, no! He's coming! Okay.
A little bit of indecisiveness here from Firefly. I would like to see him either pull the trigger on this or take a third and put some forges down. Because even if he has the second hit the bomber, or the third, excuse me, it's not enough. What he's getting here is good, but it's not what it needs to be.
Bomber looks like he's considering the other third location, and I would not mind that considering where the proxy is for Firefly.
As we've kind of seen them posture around and saw Bomber decide to lift the third so we have less area to defend, this bio ball has grown pretty large.
Yeah.
The point of the all-in that Firefly was set up to do is to catch them when they're small enough and the Zealots can get a nice surround, like when you have that numbers advantage. But as their army counts continue to grow, this army from Firefly is going to continue to get weaker. Okay, here we go. Siege tank goes down, Guardian shield is up. That effectively counts as 2+1 armor upgrades here. But even then, he's just getting kited out. He has to fall back.
There's too much bio now. His gateway force on the ground is not quite large enough to swallow the Terran bio.
Right, he also had... Oh, SCVs are pulled. Half of Firefly's army gets recalled here. He's going to try to fight this, but half of his army's out of position. He doesn't have any upgrades. He's against +1/+1. I foresee a very quick ending to this game coming up here.
Yeah. Lifts on the mines are decent, but there's just a lot of bio, and with these SCVs body blocking the Zealots, we're gonna have game 1 going to Bomber.
That was a clean hold. He pressured across the map very well with that initial Cyclone and Marine Force and picked himself up an easy win.
Yep. Okay. So we got a taste of Firefly in that game. It felt like he wanted to do eco cheese opening, I would say, and didn't really get purchase out of it. Bomber was just like clean enough on the defense that he held that, and then there was a follow-up all in that I guess he wasn't able to find purchase there either, and so Bomber just had too much, I guess.
Right. Everything that he was doing there is meant to exploit these little weaknesses in the Terran's opening. The proxy with the early Zealot. If the bunker's not up or if the response to it is wrong, then you kill the SCV building the command center, then suddenly you're ahead. If they don't have if they try to defend their third and you hit them with the 8-gate charge lot all in, then it would make Firefly look really good. But Bomber was just so airtight there. He was so prepared and scouted well that it was just like water dripping off of a rock. Rock doesn't care.
Well, Rock will care over thousands and thousands of years if that keeps up, but he may not have thousands and thousands of years.
Nope, this is a best of 9, so that is the first of 5 map wins, and Bomber's picked up 1. So we have, correct me if I'm wrong here, but yeah, 5 wins wins you a best of 9, correct? Okay, good. I can do math.
And right, you can do it on stream, apparently.
Oh gosh. All right, into the next one. Port Alexander. Interestingly, this is the one that this was one of Firefly's first vetoes in the maps, but then he chose this one as the second map to play on. So maybe a little indecision in the map pool here as well. Maybe he's still figuring out his preferences for the maps this season.
It could also be like there sounded like there was some miscommunication, so he may have just wanted to start on this map. I don't know.
Maybe.
It was kind of unclear. Anyway, to the top left has the blue Terran representing Red Bull. It is Bomber.
And spotting in the bottom left-hand corner, taking another chance at it, it is Firefly. Okay, so are there any particular map features for this map that you know about for this matchup?
Well, it's nice that the Reaper pathing can be blocked pretty much entirely out of the main, which he has set up for. Another thing that... Oh, turn up your mic. Sure. Let me find that.
While you handle that, again, we have a very early probe scout out of Firefly. Maybe he's expecting to get cheesed in return here, or maybe he's just trying to say, like, wants to give himself at the very least a chance here, but he sees that SCV building the barracks, he sees the normal gas timings, he's going to click on that and see that, okay, about 50 gas has been mined here, but no second gas geyser. So standard opening out of Bomber, and Firefly has all of that information to work with. Might head down here just to try to delay the command center for a little bit. Unless Bomber... Okay, so Bomber chooses just to put the command center one square off. He'll either lift it when the orbital's done, or lift it and then make the orbital. Reaper spawning very quickly here. Probe gets out in time. As far as the building placement here for Firefly, as my co-caster Zeno was saying, he's restricted it to this one ramp. There's no cliff for the Reaper to jump up. There's no surface area there. It's just going to be a map that you can really deny vision on. If you want to keep the Terran out, you can force them to use a scan if they want to see what your tech structure of choice is.
And that Reaper is going to come in about the same time as that Stalker. It has been chronoed, and the Stalker will shoo it out. So out goes the Reaper, and no scouting information just yet. There is a Twilight Council down at the back of that main, so that would have been nice to see, but he'll just have to find it later.
Right. Importantly, by that first little dip into there with the Reaper, he got enough vision to see not where the pylons were, but where the pylons weren't. And so if he does choose to scan, he'll have the tools to... I would expect his scan to hit if he decides that he needs that vision.
Fair.
So Bomber's actually gone for a 3 command center build here. His second command center is in place, and the third one is actually almost done. And so if Firefly can't get a read on this, if he can't find out what's going on, he might hit that mid-game point around that 7 or 8 minute mark when the third's economy is online, and he just says, why do you have so much money? Where did all this stuff come from, right?
Yeah. There was a probe, I should say, that was out on the map, and the Reaper picked it off. I don't know what that probe was thinking of doing, but it's a moot point now.
Right. If there was any kind of forward pylon to be put down to use this blink, then a second probe will have to be sent out, which it looks like is happening. I think that it has the Stalker escort now. This is either going to make a third or a forward pylon. We'll either see a third nexus or a set of gateways thrown down. Reaper gets vision on the third, confirms the nexus going down. This sentry here has 75 energy, so it could send out a hallucination, which it looks like it will. Phoenix has just spawned. He's going to go get that information for him.
Yep. Heading across the map now, and it's not queued to see that third. It will see the, I guess, later factory and barracks, so he might be able to pick something up from that if he doesn't see that command center tucked in the back. Oh no, he did change his rally point, so he does see everything that he needs to see and can respond accordingly. Oh, the Stalkers!
Oh, really good blink forward here. He gets in before stim is done, before combat shields is done, when these Stalkers are at their strongest relative to the power of a Marine. He's getting a lot of good damage here, but that's an aggressively forward blink. He might have needed to retreat to the low ground. Fighting off a bit more than he can chew here. Bomber's going to cut him off with the SCVs here. Really good little worker hug there to keep that damage up on his Marines. The point of these kind of blink-ins is you get some scouting information, you put some damage down, and then you get out for free. You get out without losing any units. But we saw 4 of the 5 Stalkers there go down, which makes that so not worth it for the Protoss player there.
He also didn't get a chance to snipe any add-ons, and it would have been nice to get the stem. Of course, he probably wouldn't have based on its positioning. That would have been really ambitious, but all in all, trade's going in favor of the Blue Terran.
Absolutely. So even though Bomber built this third command center much faster, that Stalker pressure did allow him to get his third command center down, or his third nexus down, and get it almost all the way saturated here. So in a way, if you looked at those Stalkers as an investment, just how much money can they get you by controlling the map, then they might have actually paid for themselves. Poking forward here with these Stalkers, going to keep poking at this army. Marauders stim forward, good control by Bomber there, microing the Marines back, running the Marauders forward. But stim runs out before they can make the catch. They don't have the concussive shells that they need. Actually, getting 2 of those Stalkers and going to chase down the third this four stalker has war stories now. If he makes it, he gets the Purple Heart.
War Prism did pick up, I believe those were... Yes, they are Zealots. And gonna swing around to the main, I presume, trying to keep the Terran at home while he powers up on those 8 gateways, and +2 is also underway, being chronoed out to enter the field of play as quickly as possible.
Right, so Bomber is still trying to equalize to 1-1 with the Protoss, and the Protoss is already double chrono boosting 2 forges, getting +2/+2. So in the same way that we saw Bomber have the time advantage in the previous match, now I would say that Firefly has it, and that the longer this goes without any major events happening, the more it's going to favor Firefly.
This is a great catch of all these charge lots, or not even charge lots yet, as charge is not done. But the main force is coming up from the third, trying to make a more favorable Protoss trade. Mines are burrowing and not getting any connects as the Protoss moves back. Guardian Shield is up.
Oh, good pullback there from Firefly. Saw the Widow Mine target line. This one Immortal is actually kind of acting as this anchor here. I don't think this would have... If he had skipped this Immortal in favor of Warp Prisms and Observers, I think that he would have had a much harder time with this hold. Cleaning up these Widow Mines here, Blink's out of position, and harassment in the main here hasn't been responded to yet, so we still have SCVs going down.
Yeah, that Prism was harassing throughout the duration of this fight, hitting the third and hitting the main. Didn't get, like, an insane amount of damage, but definitely splitting the multitasking of Bomber and allowing Firefly to have the defense at home needed.
I would say that Firefly is exactly where he wants to be. He has +2/+2, charge is finished, fourth is going down, he's getting his AoE his damage up, he got some successful harassment off, and even recalled the Warp Prism. So if he doesn't, unless we have a catastrophic fight here, which we might, that's a lot of army from Bomber.
Indeed it is.
He just needs time. He needs time to take these advantages and turn them into a supply lead. But right now we have 65 army supply for Firefly and 119 for Bomber. So this is Bomber's edge. We've established Firefly's edges. This is Bomber's.
Right. I don't think Bomber has much intent to take a fourth. Like, he might have to if he can't find something here, but he is nicely entrenched on this third. Mines are burrowing behind the Liberator zone, and this is lost. This base here will fall almost certainly or not.
Remember when we said that Bomber needed something? This definitely counts as something. This is so much damage here. Fighting this army here, he gets into a really good position. He's able to micro back behind those gas geysers. The force fields are good, but Bomber was able to circumvent them a little bit with the medevacs there. Make sure that he finishes off the Nexus before he flies away. These probes have a fourth to go mining too, so there's not too much mining efficiency lost. Liberator goes down, good blink forward there, and this fight's going to continue. They're both going to drag this out. We have another warp in here, but Bomber's going to be able to get this high ground on the ramp. If Firefly had a perfect fight, he would have been able to hold that position there and keep them down, but... Wow, that's... Wow.
That was some really good army movement from Bomber. I think Firefly was thinking that Bomber would approach from the ramp directly into the natural. Instead, Bomber swung around from the other side after kind of telegraphing one line of motion.
Right, there was some mind game there. There was some, like, watch your left, and then I hit your right. And Firefly, he had... Maybe he didn't even have the tools to defend it. He was down by a lot of army supply there.
Yeah, it was kind of like... I also wasn't sure if he was giving up the third or not for a second. Or like just waiting. I feel like if he was more aware that he was going to have to fight there, I'm not sure if he would have positioned the army the way he did. It's kind of hard to say.
Yeah, in a strange way, I wonder if Bomber needed that subtlety, if he needed the mind game, or if he had just stimmed forward, seeked the Liberators, and burrowed the mines, if it just would have been the same thing but faster.
Yeah. At any rate, it's going to be Cyber Forest next.
Yep. I like this map. He's picking a lot of maps where you have a diagonal spawn to your opponent rather than a horizontal one.
Okay.
Like some of the maps in this pool have like the direct by air line, and then like you expand
like
south.
0.
Yeah, absolutely. And
in some ways,
seeing
Automaton does that kind of, not exactly.
Right, in that like I don't know. There's that in between. It's like, well, it's there, but it's not perfect. But we're seeing Firefly's map choices here being the ones where he's exactly avoiding that situation where we haven't seen much drop play out of Bomber, and I think that much of that is a result of the map choices that Firefly is going for.
Possibly. It could also be due to the meta and like the builds that he's facing. He's seen a Phoenix opener and a Blink Stalker opener. In both of those cases, dropping is very punishable.
Absolutely. Good point. Loading into our third map here, the current score is 2-0 in favor of Bomber. Give me a prediction. What's the score at the end of this series?
I feel a 5-1. Those were... there were moments in there, but Bomber looked very clean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Firefly's going to figure out a couple games. I'm going to go 5-2, but
okay.
I don't think he's going to. I'm not seeing that whimper that you see where a player is completely outclassed. I'm seeing struggles and back and forth, and there's decision making here.
It is a best of 9 in which being a longer series, like you have a lot of room to adjust, try new things depending on like how much you want to tweak. You can like throw out a couple like hard cheeses even, and we haven't really seen anywhere near the full range of like what he can do. We've only seen 2 games out of Firefly.
Absolutely. So we're seeing a later probe scout here. This is the slowest one he's done so far. And maybe that's a result of the map here. Do you think that this is a harder map for Terrence to cheese on, or why would this be the slower probe scout?
He may just feel like his opponent is like okay, so the first game, his probe scout timing is like a result of his own cheese almost. Like, well, my probe is out on this side of the map, so I should use it.
Of course.
And then the second game, that one I'm not sure why he sent it so early. It did seem early for... It might just be trying to feel out his opponent. He may just feel more comfortable, or also this map is not like... King's Cove is very Reaper friendly. This map not so much. So it could also be to the map like you were alluding to.
Interesting here is that Firefly's gone for this Reaper wall to try to restrict the access up this cliff. And then Bomber just didn't go for a Reaper. He just went for a Marine and a Reactor first into a quicker factory. So this wall hasn't really served the purpose that Firefly was hoping for it to. All it's done is make him more vulnerable to drops in the late game.
I guess. I feel like the threat and probability of a Reaper is so, like, high in comparison to the threat and probability of a drop. Like, you're going to lose stuff on a drop regardless. It's just... Like, losing a Cyber is not the biggest of deals once you have Warp Gate. Especially if you have Charge done.
Right, where you can kind of just build up your Zealot army while the Cyber Core refinishes.
Right.
This This could be interesting here. We have Blink being chrono boosted. We have extra gateways being added already. The largest tell that we'll see if he is using this for just a 3-gate early pressure with Blink, or if he starts throwing down that explosion of warp gates and tries to really get some damage done. We have a forward pylon going down already, so I think it might be the latter. But Bomber's kind of already going for a siege tank, so he might be going for one of those 2-base siege tank pushes we're seeing in the TVP meta.
You know, I think this is what he wanted to do the previous game, but the Reaper denied his pylon. So now he's finally able to do his Phoenix Stalker thing, or hallucinated Phoenix Stalker thing.
Right, where he blinks into the main and gets the damage done there, and then probably swings around and heads to the main after that. Right. Once he's pulled the army into the main, trying to do that push-pull that we were talking about, right? Oh, quick third, though, too.
Yeah. Just having the forward pylon allows him to continue his pressure and get across the map sooner, but he's going to run into this tank push coming across the map, and
Blink isn't done. He already loses a Stalker. This is a strong push coming out of Bomber. He needs every Stalker he can get to hold this. And so anything that Bomber gets here for free is a point in his favor. And any time that Firefly can get with these Blink Stalkers is a point in his favor. Bomber needs to get across the map and get into those good positions and get sieged up. And Firefly needs him to stay back long enough that he can build up an army that's able to fight this. Alright, Bomber claiming the high ground here. Siege is up.
The third is just completing. The Stalker count is getting to a respectable amount. These tanks have to be careful, as they could lose their lives to a good Blink, but there's still decent Marine coverage for now.
Right. So we have some real confidence coming out of Firefly here. To go throw down double Forge, his charge is halfway done. He says, I can get double upgrades and hold your siege tank push, Bomber. I've figured this build out. And so we'll see if that's a little bit of overconfidence there. Blinks forward, picks off both siege tanks very quickly. Without that support, these Marines are totally out of position. The cleanup is quick, and wow, Firefly has established a massive lead for himself in this game.
Nicely done.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, bravo. Hats off. That if Bomber was doing a siege tank push on that like me, or on me like that, that would not look like that. That third Nexus would be getting shelled, there'd be bunkers up. That was a really good hold from Firefly there.
Yeah, that was a considerable investment, and his third is being constructed still at his natural. The momentum's going to swing the other way with the Stalkers getting into that natural, stopping the production, and getting that bunker. He should be okay, but this is a hiccup in Bomber's already behind economy.
We have 5 more warp gates coming down, chrono boost on double upgrades happening, 3 probes at a time. Again, Firefly's put himself in this position where time is on his side, but last time we saw that same setup there, but Bomber was able to just, through his macro and through his mechanics and positioning, he was able to kind of overcome those advantages that Firefly had. Little scrap in the middle here, a little skirmish. We have about half the Stalker army going down here to some good stims and positioning and target fire from Bomber. Throw down a bet. Who do you think takes this map?
Oh, I think this is looking very much in favor of the Red Protoss. Like, he took that fight really well. Like, yes, he will lose this pylon, but he's going to be set up on a very strong, kind of swarmy Protoss army as we continue into the mid-game.
We have a Warp Prism coming in here, and Bomber's moved out with his whole army. So this might... Bomber wants to be across the map so that he can put the pressure down and use his timing here, but we have this Protoss army pulling him in. There's only a couple Liberators and a few spawns here. If we see a big gateway warp in the main here, then this will get real dicey for Bomber. He pulls his army back, which buys time for Firefly, which is exactly what he needs. He's cleaning this up, but he's losing a lot of mining time. Fair number of SCVs are going down.
Now this is a nice Prism timing movement, and it really like, yes, it only got 4 SCVs, but it buys so much time. Like, that push would have been difficult for his Blink Stalkers to handle on their own, but with the Prism delaying that, like, Storm's gonna be done for the next fight.
Right. The difference between Bomber turning around for that fight and not is that he would have gotten to attack third before +2/+2 was done and before Storm was done. I think he'll still get there in time, and Firefly needs these edges. He needs this tech and these upgrades to kind of get around the fact that he's down by 40 army supply. 10 seconds left on the upgrades. This timing is critical here. Bomber wants to be patient with this, but he also is on a clock. He also needs to be pushing up tier before Storm finishes. We have a couple Templar building energy. Storm is done now, less than a second. There's that first size Storm, that's a lot of damage. Liberator's in position, Widow Mines get a lot of damage done. We have 1 shield battery to help save these probes here, but with this army positioned in this pocket along the right-hand side, that's a lot of damage coming down for Bomber. Ooh, good Storm, gets about 6 Marines.
The Liberator Mine is doing a really good job of zoning out the Protoss army from engaging over that top side, whereas it also allows for the Bio to poke in, and it is going to pick off that third. Probes are going to have to run over to that 4th base. But the Protoss army is now kind of trapped as the Bio is repositioning on the other ramp.
Right, this Templar needs 7 more energy to have a Size Storm. Marauder stims 2 Marauders forward, picks it off. That's a great trade for him. We saw Bomber's 3rd command center lifted from the Warp Prism harass, so we're down to a 2-base versus 2-base economy. Wow. How does Bomber do it? He's really showing the caliber of player that he is here, to be right, to have that siege tank push crush so entirely and find these edges.
For a second there, I thought the mines were gonna kill all of the High Templar, but it almost doesn't matter. There's
absolutely.
There's just so much Terran.
Right, he's got the positioning, he's pushing up to the natural, he has the Liberators down, he has the mines, and he's going to be able to pick off this 4th base as well.
Firefly is desperately trying to stay in this game, and he will clear out the mines and the Liberator, but I don't know how he's going to, like, deal with Bomber, really. There's just too much Bio, too many medevacs.
Right, like, we've seen game after game, just Firefly struggle to keep up with the production of Bomber, that it looks like Firefly should have these leads, but then Bomber just has this massive Bio ball and just shoves anyways, and he keeps finding ways to make it work. He's put himself 3-0.
Yeah. I think also he's like has a good feel for like the timing window of his opponent. As I'm not entirely sure how much of what he scouted in terms of like the forges and whatnot, but like it is a very bread and butter build that Firefly presented him with, so like he doesn't have to scout that much. Like he saw the Blink Stalkers and he saw the charge lots, so
right, you can kind of work off of your previous games and like fill in the blanks there and say, oh, this is a meta build and my practice partners do this and I encounter people doing this on the ladder, and so he has that familiarity to work with.
Like he can very well just look at the unit composition and the opening scout from the SCV and his initial tank push and say, oh, okay, so he can conceivably have AoE by this time, so I need to hit before then.
Right. So we saw Firefly's style seems to be that he's very active on the map. We have these kind of turtle protosses that we've come to know and love, like Stats and Classic, who say I have the advantage when we are at 200 out of 200, and so my style is going to be that home is home and I'm not leaving, and my job is to deflect drops and hold the third base and get my storms and my double forges, and your job is to break it, right?
Sure.
And we're seeing that Firefly style is very different than that. I like it. He's out on the map. He's getting these blink stalkers, looking for damage there. He's proxying buildings. He's always got a forward pylon down. He's loving this warp prism play, and is instead saying, like, this is not you assaulting a castle. This is a boxing match, and he's really trying to go blow for blow with Bomber.
Yeah, I definitely can see that. 1 second, let me update. Oopsies.
All right, looks like we have just a couple of administrative things going on here while we get into the next map. A couple of glitches with the system here, people needing to relog, people falling out of the party. So thank you for your patience while we just stand by and get into the next map. Looks like it will be New Repugnancy. All right.
Okay. I missed one little thing, but it will have to do.
Okay, heading into the fourth map here, New Repugnancy. This is another one of those maps that's kind of like we were talking about those halfway drop maps, right? We have the airspace to the right, but it's not. It's like it's there. You can, but mostly you have this big dead area to just hide medevacs in, and so I think this is definitely the best map for drops that we've so far from the pools played. All right, spawning in the top right corner, the purple Protoss player. He needs to make something happen in this game, or he's quickly going to be burned out by the train of Bomber. It is Firefly. Spawning in the bottom left with a clear grasp on this series, up 3 maps, the red parent player, it's Bomber. You have a ping from Sushi asking you about an overlay? Okay.
I got it.
Perfect. So gas first opening from Bomber here. This is the first time he's done this so far, and so he's got a little mix-up coming. Curious to see if this is still a Reaper opening just with the faster factory, or if he puts the factory down immediately once this barracks finishes and wants to get into that tech.
I feel like a lot of people still get the Reaper and just want the faster factory, but it doesn't have to be by any means. Gas steal is going to go down.
So if Bomber did have intentions with this first gas, then those this is a hard limit on the build options here from Firefly. Right? Putting down that gas geyser kind of says, okay, no one base Banshee, no, right? It's just no, like we're not dealing with it. I'm down 3 maps, not today. And it looks like it's still an expand build. Besides the faster gas, this looks like a surprisingly standard Terran opener. Do you wonder? I guess we'll never know, but I wonder if this command center is a result of this gas steal, or if that was his plan anyways.
I think in any case, Firefly has decided to mix it up. He's also going to proxy that Stargate, and it's probably just for oracles based on his positioning. He can't like be super aggressive with it, but it will definitely catch Bomber off guard if he doesn't like pay critical attention to, say, the pylon count on his scouts. He actually hasn't scouted the main.
No, but he did have that SCV on the low ground at like the 2 minutes 12 mark.
Okay.
And saw no nexus, so he knows that something's up. And if you highlight his scouting SCV, he is wildly searching for proxies here. That is a lot of cues. The Reaper is covering the top side of the map, but this proxy location is so far away. Like I don't think he's gonna find this for a very long time. Adept gets in, tries to get some damage done there, sees that a Widow Mine is complete, so he'll know when he flies into the Stargate units that he needs to be on the lookout for the little divot in the ground where the Widow Mine's burrowed. And good defensive posture.
Behind the command center, from a certain angle, the little icon blocks it. I don't know what you call that.
Oh, the clan picture?
Yeah.
A little snake?
But it looks like it's gonna be Phoenix, and
wow, and almost 4 minutes in, we see a Nexus go down. So it is an expansion build, but I would expect to see more pressure than a couple Phoenixes down to see this kind of economic setback. Widow Mine's in position. Good eyes for gets the shot off anyways though, and then this Marine and this Viking will push these Phoenixes out. That Firefly invested a lot to get these Phoenixes out, and then if a Widow Mine and a Viking clean it up, then that's not what he's looking for.
I can't say I'm loving this opening out of Firefly.
Right, if you're still looking for the builds on the new patch and trying to figure out your next ladder map, this might not be the replay to pour over. I mean, respect to the player, he wouldn't do it if it didn't work, so it's perfectly clear that against players of his own MMR that this might work, and that it's just Bomber's edge that makes it look kind of...
silly?
I wouldn't call it silly, but...
It's not. There is a method to this. It's just getting shut down without much purchase. Like, I think the mine was probably not what he was hoping for. He is getting some nice pickoffs with the Phoenixes, getting the lift on the Marines. I just don't know if I would have liked the delay on the expansion for... I mean, what? He's gotten 2 SCVs, a handful of Marines, and a Viking.
Now he's heading into a Blink build. He's getting +1 weapons and Blink, and a 3rd base. So this might be just a Blink Stalker Phoenix.
Yeah, he's definitely standardized off the opening. Like,
I would like to see a higher probe count, and I think that's a consequence of the later natural.
Yeah.
But
he did overdrone his main, so like when he did expand finally, he would be have an easier time saturating that. So like he kind of always knew he was going to expand, of course, but
we have 3 add-ons going down on these barracks. We have Stimpack finished, and we have Medevacs out. So I would say that Bomber's found that comfortable spot that he likes to be in here. He's got this kind of ball rolling. The 3rd command center's done. And I don't think that Blink Stalkers are going to be the answer to this. I will be very very impressed and a little surprised if Firefly is able to... Hello?
I think we had a moment of lag, but it seems to have passed.
Right, I got a little stutter there, trying to pretend it didn't happen.
You were saying about the Blink Stalkers?
That if this is the answer, if Firefly, if this is the first map he wins, I'll be very impressed if he does it off of the opening of this kind of deflected proxy Stargate.
Yeah, it is quite curious. He's gonna get that +1 armor and charge behind all of this, and it's something. Did he just lose all but one of his Phoenix?
He did. He flew over these 3 Widow Mines that are on this upper ramp from the natural.
Oh,
and
this game is just not going his way. I think he needed those longer. Like, he doesn't need them the whole game, but I don't think he was prepared to give them up just yet. Oh. I fell out of the... It still shows me there. I'm not in the... Oh gosh.
Base
Hello?
trade! Hey, welcome
Hi!
back. Hi.
I don't know what happened, because I did not...
Oh.
From my end, I don't even... Anyway, here we have...
Right, we'll talk about it later. We've got a base trade going on. We have... I remember I was talking about a boxing match? This is it. This is both of them just trading. Force field on the ramp there. Firefly needs to recall here before he loses all of his as well. He's taken out the command centers themselves, not just force lifts. Or, sorry, you got the natural, not the main. If he loses this Nexus, then he'll only have his 4th base, or his 3rd base to recall to. And he's committed to it. He doesn't want to fall back and defend. He wants to keep this Terran army split, but pushing up this ramp would be a mistake. These Liberators, that Bioball, that's a bad bet. Wow, okay, talk to me. What's going on?
There's a lot of Protoss. It's mostly Gateway Force, so not a lot of tech, but there's just so much. Only 22 workers for Firefly, so like this is the army has to work with once Bomber fixes his supply. But I feel like time is in favor of Bomber, right?
Right. So if Firefly had been able to cut that army in half, right, to force a fight while Bomber had half of his army in his main and half of his army out from when he was base trading, then I think that would have been a fantastic way for Firefly to kind of get his footing back. But as it is, we have a Liberator swinging around here to harass the already low probe count of Firefly. Definitely feeling like Bomber came out ahead in that trade.
Yeah.
Liberator sieges up. Oh, Zealots. Oh, I don't know. You don't have the tools to deal with that. I don't.
They can't jump off of like they can't like charge up a cliff and leap into the air and hit that.
Oh, next patch. Next patch. Alright, Bomber has once again just, I don't know, you enter a game with Bomber and the game timer clicks on and eventually that army supply just hits these huge numbers, 124. The bio ball is massive here. Widow Mines and Liberators and Medivacs to support it. And I think that unless we see some money storms coming out here, that this will not go well for Firefly. We aren't going to base trade again, are we? No way. No way. Not 2 times in one game. Both armies posturing around the center of the map here.
Storm does go down. this is a really open space, which is good for charge, but not great for AoE.
No, definitely not. We have... I would say the Bomber's just hitting these slight edges here in these traits, just as the Zealots get picked off, as they charge forward.
He picks up most of his bio, and he's gonna hit the main again, probably unpower everything.
Right, once he cuts this production here, it's 58 army supply to 145, and if he can keep his opponent from producing, he's only going to be able to grow that and trade and continue to just push that advantage here. Oh, good positioning from Bomber there, leaves just enough units behind to kind of zone off the Protoss army so he can't just aggressively blink forward onto the medevacks as he loads up. That was expertly done there, to get in, get that damage, and get out without losing a single medevac.
Yeah, cuts the production potential in half, and it's just a lot of pressure that I just don't know how Firefly is supposed to answer.
Right. We've seen Bomber time and time again in these situations where a lesser Terran, Firefly's reactions would be superb. They're enough, right? He is. We can see his quality. We can see his skill. Good blink forward, get some Marines there, but redirecting his army up like this gives Bomber the room he needs to pick off a couple High Templar. All three of them actually going to go down. Forces an Archon morph. Liberators siege up. I think we're looking at the end of this map.
Yeah, that Liberator siege is a very nice position, and there's just too much.
Oh, absolutely.
Supply dropping critically, over double the supply, and Charge Lots are going to make one last hurrah, but make no mistake, this is the end.
I want to see something juicy in Game 5. I want to see Firefly just embrace that aspect of Protoss that he hasn't shown us yet this series, where he just... time and time again, we've seen him with these leads, and Bomber, just through the quality of his play, has been able to just get these wins just convincingly, map after map. We're up to 4-0 here.
Are you asking for a cheese?
I'm not I'm praying for it. I'm just give me one, Firefly. Just do me this solid. Just put that.
Well, we were on the cannon map, and we didn't see a cannon rush. So I'm gonna think he might proxy a gateway again and just be like more committed to it, because you can follow it up with like proxy tech as well.
Absolutely.
You can proxy a Stargate or a Robo, or go into like super aggressive blink styles even.
Right, like we've seen some blink openers out of him, but we haven't seen blink cheeses out of him, right? He's been using them to get into the mid game with an advantage, to get the map control, to establish the third. But we haven't seen him do that, like chrono the blink, throw down 8 gateways, take 4 gases, and just try to muscle it out, right?
Right.
And we haven't seen like the proxy double forward gateways here.
Oh, sure. You don't have to just proxy one gateway. Hey, let's proxy all of them.
Absolutely. I am very curious, and of course, Firefly is a player far higher than the echelons of play that I'm at here, and we always want to respect the players in the series. But I think that there comes a time where you acknowledge that you're a little outclassed and you need to mix things up. And so I'm hoping to see that in this map here.
There's also the question of what's in like his toolkit, and there are players that are very mixed, and there are players that like they have a general style but they don't deviate from it much. So I don't know what the breadth of his comfort is in builds.
Of course, and if you right. This is a performance that you research your lines for ahead of time. That you right. You don't improv a build in a best of 5 or a best of 9 with Bomber, right? That's
Right. Precisely.
and so as you said, if it's not his style, then it's not his style, and he should stick to what he is clearly very good at. Like the edges he's finding here are. It's not that he's not pressuring properly or anything. It's that Bomber has just been showing us world-class defense time and time again to get to that point where he has the massive bio ball, and that he's been using it incredibly well.
Well, that Cyber Forest game, like, there was definitely a moment there where everything was starting to line up, and Bomber had to get damage right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
And he did.
Oh, right, when he did the siege tank push forward,
Right.
and right, yeah, that was. I mean, David loaded his sling and threw the rock at Goliath, and Goliath fell down and then got back up because
Yeah.
Goliath was Bomber, and then he walked across the map with medevacs and upgrades and combat shields and stim, and David had a bad day. It just.
Mm-hmm.
We've also seen some comments from Firefly in between the games here that he's having some issues with lag, and so my heart goes out to him if these maps would be going differently, or if he would be able to show us a different side of his play if he had a more stable connection.
Yeah. I know that cheeses can be a lot harder when there's high ping, just due to the micro requirements of the build. So
Right.
that may affect his game decisions as well.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't think about that.
If he is experiencing ping in all these games.
Mhm.
Like, we know he got it for at least 2 of the games, I think. And I don't know if that issue was resolved. They did relog, so hopefully that cleared that up.
Mhm. Oh, I like this. The probe goes in to harass Bomber's SCV, who's constructing his second base, right when the Reaper heads out across the map. So we have the barracks tied up making a reactor. Oh, he made a Marine. He cleans up the probe. Reaper arrives in Firefly's base right as the Stalker's done, and he might be able to kill this Reaper here. He's already restricted the paths out a little bit. One more shot is all he needs. Stays in range. Clean pick off there.
The Reaper did scout that Twilight Council, though, so it got done what it needed to get done. It would have liked to get out as well, but it's the Reaper will still reach Stovacor that way.
Sure, he gets to go to Valhalla. He saw the Twilight Council. He gave the Terran strategist what he needed to see, right?
Precisely.
If that Reaper had been picked off, or if there wasn't able to get in, and that Twilight Council wasn't scouted, then we would have to see Bomber either play a very safe, very general build that's safe against every option, or we would have to see him commit a scan. But that Stalker just threaded a thin line to get past that line.
And it gets that SCV that should have died.
Yep, he gets a Marine and an SCV for it.
That is the funniest Stalker ever.
That was awesome.
I'm gonna become the skinniest Stalker just to finish what that probe was supposed to do.
Right, like when you're trying to squeeze past someone in the airline, and you're like on the tippy toes, just trying to. Oh, excuse me, that Stalker just oof.
Yep. Totally.
Stalker's posting progress pics. Weight loss is going great. All right. Hallucinated Phoenix flies in here. Bomber tried to get it with the Widow Mines to deny the scouting. Sees the tech lab on the factory. That's a pretty big tell. So he knows that it's either a Cyclone or a Siege Tank coming up. We're kind of past the time where a Cyclone would be made. I think that we can reasonably say that Firefly knows the Siege Tank is in production.
Banshee is out. It's not quite going across. Perhaps due to the scout, he's just like, okay, well, I can assume you're going to be prepared for this, so I'll just keep it for the push.
Right, because he saw the Twilight Council, and so if Blink is done and if an Observer is done, then that Banshee might get 2, maybe 3 probe kills, but if you want it for this push with these siege tanks to kind of anchor that force there and provide that ground DPS, then it's not worth trading it out for the economic damage.
Stalkers are moving out. Maybe they're looking for the Banshee, or I mean, they are at least get around this mine that was burrowed, and they.
Oh, and here we go.
Banshee.
Cloak is finished. He has to. Okay, very, very good there. Get some hull damage off on those Banshees. We're seeing the first deviation here from Firefly. He's showing us something new in this next game, and he's gone into Colossus tech here.
Okay.
I mean, forget the Colossus tech here. Let's talk about this pressure here. SCV's pulled to repair the bunker, and very clean. I didn't see a single stalker go down in that fight.
No, I didn't either, and smartly gets out as he was taking some damage, and I mean, if he can pick up SCVs and lose no units, that's a good day, right?
Oh, absolutely. Good sense from Bomber, though, to see that the Banshees, or the Stalkers, are across the map. Goes in with the Banshees here, picks off one sentry, is trying to get the second one with the shield batteries, providing all the support it needs. Banshee goes down. Oh, if he trades 2 Banshees for a sentry, that's a huge pickup for Firefly here. That's exactly what these Stalkers were supposed to accomplish.
Thermal Lance is nearly complete, and is that first Stalker, or that first Colossus out and joining the army. Third is 2/3 done, and Templar Archives going down behind this.
Right. We're going to see a faster third here out of Bomber. The Nexus isn't quite done, which is the opposite of what we've been seeing. Usually we've been seeing Firefly with faster third here. Our Bomber makes these fast thirds, but then he's very patient about landing them. He doesn't really overextend or risk it by landing it early. But if Firefly attacks here,
I'm worried about the way he was taking that engage for a moment, but he does
right.
back off.
Oh, he wants it though. That is the angle he wants. He wants to cut off the reinforcements here.
Okay.
Kind of position himself between the main and the third. We have a Warp Prism here to reinforce with units. We have a second Colossus, almost for done, but we don't have any upgrades here on this army. We have Zealots charging immediately out of the Guardian Shield that those sentries are trying to provide. Very efficient fight for Bomber there. Very clean hold.
It's kind of funny to see him with just this one Colossus.
It is. It seems he gave up the faster third, and he gave up the faster upgrades in order to get this Colossus out, and then the Colossus got 4 kills.
I mean, it's still a Colossus, it's still alive, and it kind of forces a... He may be hoping
Oh no, if this posture goes forward here and these medevacs get sniped, Firefly didn't see it here. Bomber's able to unload. We have the positioning here forward. I expect this third to be lifted here out of Bomber, but we need to make sure, or Firefly needs to make sure that his army doesn't get pincered here. Sentry's warping in, a few force fields go down, Vikings are out to do this air-to-air damage, and Firefly is backing off immediately.
It almost feels like this Colossus was to force the Vikings as opposed to having to deal with Liberators, but it may not pan out well as the bio is stimming in and... oh.
Like a fist closing around a coin, it just swallowed that Protoss army, and Bomber convincingly takes a 5-0 for this series, map after map. Excellently played. That was some expert Terran macro that we saw on display today.
Indeed. All right. Well, that wraps it up, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bomber's $50 richer, yeah.
Alright. I would normally have announcements, but I am wary that my computer was being kind of weird earlier. I don't know why or how it disconnected from Discord, then re-entered, and then I don't know. But anyway, there is stuff on our channel at twitch.tv/alphaxsc2. Tune in. There's stuff tomorrow. There's stuff all the time. I've Xenodactyl. I've been your host, and with me has been
Irish people. Honored to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh yes. One last thing. There is a Matcherino code. I will go find it for y'all. Provided. Yes, it is Alpha Pro Series 5-7. Or no. Yes. I can read. Alpha Pro Series 5-7. And you can add $50 to the prize pool for free. Just go to Matcherino Tournaments. I don't have copy pasta available to me, but if there is someone that can add it to the chats, that would be great. And yeah, that is just about everything.
Well, excellent. It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me, and have a good night. Thanks for tuning in.